I'm going to keep working. And for those that tune in, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep working on some other things that are needing some work. So I want to get some things put back in place so I can move around in my workspace. My cigar went out. I guess that's par for the course today. Just one of those days. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Good cigar. It's burning really well too. So gotta put the welder back. Oh, yeah, let's put you like right there. I'm moving you around a bit too. So bear with me while I'm moving things around. Yep, still throwing a code 57. Ain't that something? That means my thermocouple, I believe, is bad. It's not loose wires, at least not on the control panel end. But that doesn't mean it's not affecting it otherwise. So, let's see. Let's get you picked up and moved. Yeah, I know it's annoying. Bear with me. One more time. One more time. God, I remember when that song came out. It's been out for a long time. That was a good era of music, too. Okay, so let's get this over here. Well, actually, let's bring this down because this thing is way up high. This thing was like fully extended. Okay, there we go. Hold on. And let's get this turned down. That should be good. So, I am going to be doing some yaki claying of my blade. Claying. It's an ancient Japanese method. And I made the yaki powder, I guess you could call it, some time ago. And it's actually right here. I made it. It was, what was it? It was fire brick, it was charcoal, and ash from my barbecue grill. And it was a lot of fun to make. It was very cool. Neat little project. One of those things, just chalk up another skill, I guess you could say, to have. And the whole idea of it, yaki powder, is it causes for a vapor jacket of carbon dioxide, which will make it harder for the steel to oxidize. And when it's in the heat treat oven, it can oxidize quite a bit. And you can lose quite a bit of carbon that way. So let's get, see, I got the clay on here yesterday, but it was way too thick. So we're gonna just brush it off, and it's like a dust at this point, so it comes off really easily, to be honest. So that's a good thing for the unfortunate experience I'm having today with my heat treat oven. That was not fun. That was a very unfortunate thing to experience. So hopefully I can get this repaired, because that kiln cost a lot of money. And I would imagine I'm not the first one to have a thermocouple die on them. But boy, oh boy, am I intimidated by the job of repairing it. Just the way it goes. Can't be intimidated by these things. I mean, of course you can, but not if you want to be great. And I would love to be a great knife maker. That'd be a great legacy to leave behind, to be honest. At least for me it would be. Okay. I got a lot of dust I got to clean up. But we'll worry about that when the time comes. Let's get this show on the road. I'm actually going to be doing 2 blades with the yaki. Get it all mixed into like a slurry. And you don't want to get it too wet, but you don't want it too thick either. And I actually might even have it too thin at this point. But I can easily handle that by just throwing some more in here and mixing it up. And that's what I'll do, because it does look a touch thick. So I'll just take a little bit. And when you grind this stuff down, you want it ground down to like talcum powder, like every part of it. Okay. And the commercial stuff that they use is called ATP-641, something along those lines. It's the same idea, same rough idea, I guess you could say. And the way it works is the carbon in there from the charcoal, just regular old barbecue grilled charcoal, doesn't need to be anything special. It hang on, is what will burn when you have it in the fire. And the charcoal becomes basically the sacrificial lamb, and that allows for the CO2 jacket to form around the whole situation going on, around the steel, I guess you could say, to be more specific. And it makes for a basically not completely impenetrable, but less oxidizing will occur. Because that CO2, with that vapor around it, it can't get through it. So there's a fun little bit of info for you guys. Okay. Let's get this mixed up. I want it really kind of wet when I put this on. Seems like 2 coats is ideal. So I'm going to do 2 very thin coats, as thin as I can get it. So far, these are going on much thinner than the first one. The first one was ridiculous. It looked like child's play, to be completely honest. And then when it starts to goop up a little bit, get it back in there, stir it up. And then there we go. All right. I guess I don't really need to get all of it, but you know what, we're going to. I'm going to bake it on there a bit with the torch. Okay, you see what I'm doing? Sorry about that. That's where my head is today. It's everywhere, all over the place. There we go. There. You know what? Let's put them side by side. Why not? Now it's getting to that light gray. I'm saying, yeah, it's baked down really well. Let's see how hot these are. Oh, yeah, they're a bit warm. Last time I put it on, while the blades were still warm, and it actually kind of seemed like it worked against me. It caused for a, how did I put this? It just was like falling apart. That's all I could say, was like coming off of these very easily. And it like wasn't, it was like chipping off, flaking off, because this stuff is ground down to such a fine powder. It's I guess you could say it's even in like almost like a talcum powder level fine. And so I'm just gonna wait for these to dry. It might take a little while, but it's just the nature of the beast, as the saying goes. Actually, I might do some cleanup. Yeah, I will. Okay. Got my little Shiba Inu out there keeping the yard safe from all the boogles and woogles. These are still, yeah, it's a little too warm still. Let's see if I can even, yeah, I can flip it over maybe. I can paint the other side. That's what it's like. It's like you're painting, honestly. Okay. Yeah, flip it over. All right, there we go. So now that's flipped over, I'm gonna try and get this stuff mixed up. You gotta keep that like slurry in the liquid, because it will separate very quickly, like a sediment, like how it just, like a siltiness that just sinks to the bottom, like a pond or like a swamp kind of thing. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that. It's a little steamy, but that's all right. And I'm realizing I want it to be very thin. And I want to do 2 thin layers, very thin layers. And it's time to dip when it starts to get kind of thick. And you gotta stir it back up. And it's just regular old water in here, nothing special. It's really not that exponential, spectacular. I don't know what the word is. I'm having a hard time talking today. It's one of them days. But it is nice. It's 53 degrees. The sun is out. It's no longer in the 30s. Yesterday was a cold 30 degrees. More chilly than I anticipated, to be honest. But nonetheless, it's a nice day today. And tomorrow I think it's supposed to be like high 60s. So that's pretty cool. All right, so that's layer 1 on this side. And it's steaming. I don't know if you guys can tell that there's steam in there, but it's, get out of the way, big heavy things. But these are, you can see how like it's turning gray. That light gray is telling you that it's, baking on, so to speak. And so that's where we're at with this. And like I said, this is yaki iri, and it's an ancient Japanese way of heat treating, and it's genius. I'm not sure how they came across it, but it was a way they found to create a vapor barrier between the air inside the heat treat. Well, they didn't have like a heat treat oven per se back then, but it creates a CO2 jacket to stop the oxidizing and pulling the carbon out so you don't lose any more carbon. What is that? Little brush pieces. And so in this, gets a little bit more gray, lighter gray, I'll flip it over. And then, actually, you know what? Let's see if I can do it right now. I'm going to flip it over now. Just let that dry as is. And you can see this stuff on this side. It's kind of bubbled up, almost like frog skin. And then we're going to do another really thin layer. Hopefully it works. It's going to be my first time really trying this stuff. But we shall see. The cool part about it was I actually made this stuff from stuff I already had, materials I already had laying around. And the Japanese, they actually use some of their polishing stone clay, which I do not have, but I used fireplace ash or fire pit ash, whatever you want to call it. And then I used fire brick, which that was really tough to grind down, to be completely honest. And then charcoal, just regular old barbecue grill charcoal. I'm gonna have to probably throw some more water in there. And yeah, the charcoal is particularly cool because it's basically a sacrificial lamb. That's the material that burns off, and when it's burning off, it creates a CO2 jacket around the steel. And that CO2 jacket around the steel will stop the oxygen from pulling out more carbon. Carbon is what makes a knife hard. The more carbon, the harder the knife. Well, I mean, that's a very rudimentary way to put it, but rule of thumb, it's like they consider knife quality steel to be 0.60 and higher of carbon. Okay. Like swords are usually in the, I believe, 0.4 to 0.5. They can be 0.6. So there's always going to be debate on everything. Nothing is settled in science, that's for sure. Only in math. But there is debate that 0.6 is too hard. But it makes me curious because hardness can be determined in the temper. You can bring hardness down significantly in a temper. I think it was brush hog blades I had that were 5160H, because there's also 5160, which makes a good sword actually. And that's the 60 in there stands for 0.60% carbon. But anyway, there was a guy who was a vendor that sold brush hog blades to companies, and he was able to get a hold of the manufacturer and find out actually what the metallurgy was and their heat treat process, the whole shebang. It was super exciting. And he found out that it is 5160H, and they temper it down to 44 HRC, which is Rockwell. And 44 is very low on the Rockwell count, but it was what they use for brush hog blades because those things will blow through anything, basically. And that's what they need to be able to blow through anything. And yeah, so there's a little interesting bit of metallurgical info. Let's get these hot. All right, let's see how well that does. I'm just getting all that fire going to get these to dry a bit. I don't want to dry them too fast. Sometimes if you dry things a little too fast, it can make them brittle. But I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with this stuff. So it could be brittle the whole time. And I'm not familiar with it. All right, that's taking a little longer than I expected. bit here, a little there. But these two layers are even thinner than the first layer I put on yesterday. And so that's pretty cool. Hopefully that'll be better. As I understand it, you want very thin layers and not very thick ones, because it does actually affect the heat treat overall. And if these are done really well, I might even get hamones in them. And hamones, if you guys have ever seen like samurai swords, be it in the mall or whatever, in the mall is likely not a real one, but needless to say, it'll still work. You might see that like little wavy line that goes along the blade. That's tried to emulate a hamon, and that would come out in a polishing situation. And you got to get up to the finer grits to bring out the hamon, and they're honestly really cool. And that would tell you basically the hardening line where it changed. And some people started getting really creative with like the claying and all that, and they do like designs in it and whatnot, and that would, affect the hardening, and you'd have like a cool little line. Some would even like rate words and stuff like that. And I don't know if they came out super well, but it was still super fun. All right. Yeah, these are good enough to hold. Now let's be delicate. I got one more layer, whoops, to add this side. And then they'll be good to go. Yeah, that's a good thin layer. Really happy I took the first layer off like I did. All right, let's get this stuff mixed up again. And it's just, basically like a slurry. And the brush, this is just an acid brush from Harbor Freight, nothing special. Okay. Just trying to add on a thin layer. What was that? Yeah, this is going on much better than the first time I tried this. The first time was an abysmal failure. It was silly. You could see that on my last live. I think it's up for viewing. There we go. And you just got to keep mixing it up to keep that fine, silty slurry mixed in the water. There we go. Sound like someone just ran into like a telephone pole out there. I mean, it's possible. We did have a random shooting outside my shed not that long ago when I was live. That was bizarre. Unexpected and bizarre. All right. Oh, I gotta get a little bit more on this end. Feeling like Bob Ross here. I don't know if you guys know who Bob Ross is, but if you don't, do yourself the favor. Look up his old videos. He is the most gentle creature. Okay. And these are just gonna sit here and dry, and I'll have to deal with my kiln. I don't know what's going on there. You see it's blinking in the background. That way. It's blinking in the background. And I gotta replace the thermocouple on it, it looks like. And I'm a bit intimidated by that, to be completely honest. I've never really messed with electronics or anything. But such is life, I guess. Oh, my little soapy almost went out. Let's try and light this real quick. To everybody on lunch. Hope you guys are having a good lunch break. Hope you guys had some fun watching me do some yaki iri. That's what it's called. And I'll show you guys. Gotta open it carefully. I don't want the stuff to go flying. The powder in here is so fine. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like talcum fine. It gets kind of like bound up on itself. But yeah, it's just charcoal from barbecue for like smoking meat, and then wood ash from a barbecue grill, and then I ground up some fire brick. And then you mix it all together with some water into a slurry, and you get like this, like a slurry, like a clay, and you heat treat with it. And the lid won't go back on. What the heck's going on? Come on. Not my lid won't go on. Oh my. Oh boy. Oh, my lid ain't going on right. One of them days. At least the sun is out though. That'll make life much easier. Okay, there now. I think it seals so funny. Like one side of it, I don't know why. I don't know why it's doing that. But is what it is. And these are. I'm just gonna let those auto dry, I think, and then come back to them when everything evaporates and all that good stuff. Drinking water. Man, oh man. Hydration. I swear, the more hydrated I am, the better I handle stress. Hydration is just a magical thing. This is actually, I'll try this. This is a big Beasley Nicholson file. You can still see the teeth in it. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera too well, but it's a big beast of a file, hand file. And you can't see it on here anymore, but it said Nicholson, I think, right here on this side. Either way, this is what this Bowie is made out of. It came from this file. And this is, I chose Nicholson because it's the All-American File Company, and they're from the Rust Belt, from the Industrial Revolution. And I was thinking, what's a good steel to make this blade from? Because the Bowie is the All-American knife, and I said, hey, I like to repurpose everything. All my knives are made from files and hand tools, stuff like that. And it was just why not use a Nicholson file? And so Nicholson file is what I chose, and it was a beast of a file. And here we are. And this one was also made from a file, but this was made from a different brand. I think this was actually made from a Hayes brand, which was made in Detroit. I'm from Detroit, so it's super exciting to have, something from the Rust Belt still alive and well in the modern era from the Industrial Revolution of yesteryear. And I think that's just, to me, that's like part of the story of the knife is like, I can buy bar stock, of course, but to me, breathing new life into a tool that's long used up, to me, is so exciting. And religious revolution, 9 people in. Double tap the screen. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just over here talking about my ethos, I guess you could say, of repurposing and stuff like that. Actually, since we're here, I'll show a further ethos of it. This is one of my shop knives. I made this from a file, but that aside, the handles are why I'm showing you this. The handles are actually made out of red and white fire hose. I don't know if you guys can really tell on camera, but this is fire hose handles. It's fire hose micarta. And it's just, to me, there's just so much cool stuff out there that can be turned into something else. And fire hose is one that makes a really cool handle, really nice handle actually. And the brass tubes that I used for this are from my grandfather-in-law. He's now passed away, but he worked for a company called Burroughs. He was in their prototype department, and it is the same company that did the Burroughs adding machine and typewriters. I also collect typewriters. I don't have a Burroughs though. I do got to find one of those someday. It'd be very exciting to have a Burroughs made in Detroit typewriter. That would be like the coolest. And yeah, but either way, these are pieces of stock from Burroughs, from scraps that they just gave to their employees, and he was a tinkerer, so I got to have a lot of his materials from his tinkering days. And it's, to me, it's super exciting. Like I have a few more tools in here in the house that are from him and my other grandfather-in-law who passed away. So it's, keeping these things alive, and when they meet their inevitable end, they sometimes become knives, sometimes they become hooks. I don't know if you guys can see the big green thing behind me, but all those hooks up there are actually made from wrenches. And I thought it was super exciting to use these old wrenches that are just, I have modern, steels of them now. So I said, why not, make some cool hanging stuff with them. And some people, um, they, they still like to keep them in working order, and I don't blame them at all. Actually, one of the things I got from the grandfather-in-law that worked for Burroughs is I got some Boker pliers. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the knife brand Boker, but they make nice knives. They've been around a long time. And I actually reached out to them because I could tell they were particularly old. I just didn't know how old. And I sent them a picture of them, and they wanted a real close picture of the logo and everything. And they got back to me, and they said they couldn't nail down an exact year, but they were able to tell me basically the early 1900s, like 1900, maybe even late 1800s to like 1910 is when they were made. And that was like super exciting to know that I have these pliers that have been used by now, what is that, almost 4 generations, and they're still going strong right on my pegboard in my other workbench. And so stuff like that to me is just all about my ethos. I don't like to throw things away unless I found, oh, that's gonna fall off, found every way that I could think of to reuse them. And that's my ethos here at Forge La Femme. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I think I'm gonna finish my cigar and then I'll be heading out for the day. I gotta go look up where to get a thermocouple from to get this heat treat oven repaired. Because I mean, I can heat treat these, but I really wanted to heat treat them in my kiln, and so I'm probably gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way in the forge, which is possible. It's very possible. It's a lot of skill. It takes a great deal of skill, and there's some old-fashioned ways of getting a roundabout idea of what temperature you need to be at. One of them is actually pouring table salt on the steel, and table salt melts at a very specific temperature, and that temperature is not exact, but it's getting close to where the steel needs to be for the carbon to go into solution, and that is where you start getting to the temperature to quench it and then harden it. Let's see. Yeah, these are looking good. I'll flip this one over. No, that's actually still a little wet. I'm gonna actually close this up right here. This is my yaki stuff. I get that. Actually, I'm gonna leave this open to air dry. So when that's completely dehydrated again, I'll just dump it back in my yaki dish and I'll have it to use. I actually don't know how long I'll use this, but seeing how little I used on the 2 layers I did on this, I think that stuff will be around a long time, and I'm honestly pretty excited about that. Excuse me. But that's, to me, it's super exciting to know that I made this stuff that's somewhat similar to what has been used for, gosh, about 1,000 years, 1,200 years. I went to school for massage therapy, and I did that for a few years. I miss doing it. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever get back into it. But I was drawn to it because massage is very old. And yes, I know there's the jokes out there. I've heard them all. But don't start calling me a prostitute because that's rude. And I'm not. But it was exciting to learn about these methods that were applied medicine and how they found out can help solve so many things. And the magic comes from our hands and the intuitiveness of being able to start to calibrate them to get a feel for what's going on inside their body with adhesions or knots, if you will, stuff like that. And then the world that's come out of all of that with chiropractic and physical therapy, it's just the old ways are still so viable. Actually, they're on an upswing, and I really like that applied medicine is becoming more respected again in the common, was it, diatribe of the medical world. Oh, my cigar went out again because I'm talking too much. Yep, it's out. There we go. Okay. Got a little bit more of this stogie to go. And that'll be it for the day. I don't know. I might even go live tonight. We'll see. I didn't go live for like 11 days. I didn't do anything for like 11 days. So this is me trying to get back into the YouTube circuit by being on here and just talking about what comes to mind. I actually have quite a few knives I need to rehandle or put new handles on. And this one, I just look around and I see them. This is one right here. This is a Nulu, and I was having fun with the design. I was kind of inspired by the video game Skyrim, or not Skyrim, Oblivion, and kind of getting a sinister kind of vibe. So I gotta put a handle on here, and I believe this is heat treated. Yeah, this one's heat treated, and I need to put a handle on it. This would be one fun tool to have. Like, actually, I think this would be really cool for foraging, which I like to forage. And I think this would be like really cool. Like, just take it out and like these rounded blades are just, I don't know, they're so handy. Or even put it to work, like, you know, in the kitchen. Yeah, oh, critter. So hopefully I'll be able to go live when I heat treat these. I'm not sure if I'll do it at like towards evening time or what, but it'd be pretty cool to see how the yaki iri I made holds up under the whole heat treat process. Something else I could talk about. I've always got random stuff hanging around. Oh, I guess I could talk about this. This is actually a shillelagh I made out of a piece of Michigan hardwood. And these have been a lot of fun to make because I find these sticks when I'm actually out foraging. And it's cool that the park I was foraging at most recently, well, most regularly, I should say, they were doing some, the arborists were out there cutting some trees and making some trails and stuff. And so they were building up these big piles of fresh cuts, and they just let you dig through them, and they let me go through them, and I was able to grab some of these sticks. And this is one of the ones that I made from that fresh cut pile. Just a good old fashioned shillelagh. What is I can never remember the song, but it's like, head into Tipperary with a smile upon my lips and a shillelagh under my arm. Maybe this is what they're carrying, something like this. Cheesy. And then Kong Blade says, you were on Forged in Fire. I was on season 4, episode 14, the Catching Dao. And I have my blade around here somewhere. Where is that big ugly guy? There it is. Rawr. This is actually the blade I made for the show, for my second round. But I also have a real catching dao. I have a couple of them, actually. They're covered in dust. But yeah, these are, this is actually, the blade is from Burma, which is now called Myanmar, but this is a real catching dao. Right here. And it's particularly cool. Southeast Asia just has one of the coolest methods of doing a lot of things. And actually, you'll see this style handle, the way it flares out like this, you'll see this in some of our American styles. And how did I get on the show? They contacted me. What do I want? Where's my big old Bowie? There it is. I'll show you my big, actually, this is a knife I made right here. And where's my big old Bowie? Here's a Bowie I made. This is made from a file with an ashwood handle and good old-fashioned loop on the end. But, yeah, this is a big old blade I use around my yard. Actually, I gotta get that rest off there. Because I make knives, why else would they contact me? I made these too, right here. These are both knives that I forged. This is a Bowie hidden tang, and this one is a full tang, which has similar design. Now I just got to heat treat it. And this one was actually based off of the Jason Knight, what does he call it? Elemental blade. But yeah, this is the fixed tang or hidden tang Bowie that I'm working on. The show, I think, is actually done. I don't think they're making any more episodes. I believe they are done. If you want that, if you want to try, contact them. That's all I can suggest. There's a lot of people that were not contacted. There's a lot of people that said no. they contacted me on a knife I forgot I even made and had for sale on a website I forgot I even put up on. And that's how it worked for me. And the knife they contacted me on, I didn't actually even forge. It was all stock removal. So you'd have to ask them how they. Let's see my best work. I just showed you a few pieces. And I'm just showing what's hanging around on my workbench. Well, I finished my cigar. And I don't have my best work. It's been sold. I just have what I have hanging around, stuff I use around the yard, stuff I made testing out ideas, stuff like that. I've got a couple more. Oh, this one needs to be cleaned up too. I made a couple blades. I was seeing what I could do in 48 hours. It was the first time I made blades in a long time, basically since Forged in Fire. And so I decided to do 2 blades in 2 days from start to finish. I'll show you. Peace. I mean, it's forged in fire, not stock removal in fire. I guess they may have made a folding knife a time or two, like they call it espada or something like that. But for those that just tuned in, these are the, I'll show you. These are the 2 blades I made in 48 hours. I'm actually going to rehandle this one. I'm going to resand it and I'm going to make this into like a Central Asian butcher's knife. They have a really cool way of where they work with like 2 blades at once to chop up the meat. Like where we grind ours, they do like a cool chopping method. And so I'm going to have another one of these I got to make. I think I'm going to make it out of the same steel. It's called a tire tool. I've never heard of it before. And I grew up around mechanics, and this is just a tool that I came across at a flea market. It's really good steel for knives. And that was one. And this one is made from a rasp. This is made like a parang. This is what I use for chopping up my kindling and stuff. This one, I might keep that handle, but I might tear that off too. But you can see like the file teeth and then the rasp side. Oh, I got this cool little shillelagh here even. There's another one I made. And I wish I knew what kind of wood it was because, like I said, when I was getting the wood from the fresh cut pile, it was just piled up and it was from trees from all around the park. So I never really got a chance to know what they were. And I'm not very good at identifying bark, but I know that they're hardwoods. I do know that because they're deciduous. And you tell that by the leaves. Leaves or needles, usually. I believe there is some deciduous with kind of a needle-like vibe to them. But yeah, this is another shillelagh that I made from the same species as the first one. Where's that other one at? Right here. These are from the same tree. And whatever it is, they do dry very light. Like, there's not much weight to these. And there's some other species like yes, this is an actual walking stick. But this actually probably weighs more than both of these, are about the same as these combined. And like I get it, it's longer and whatnot, but you know. This is serviceberry. This is incredibly strong wood. This is one of my favorite woods. It actually might be my favorite wood. And it was really cool stuff because it was made in yesteryear. Oh, I think my dog just walked by my door. But it was used in yesteryear to make spokes for wagon wheels. So I thought that was pretty dang cool to learn about that, which surprised me and why it's not more well known, because that's an extremely strong wood to handle that kind of weight, for hauling freight and whatnot by good old fashioned horse and buggy or carriage or whatever what have you. Actually, if you look, I got some carriage springs recently. You can see them on the green thing behind me, those steel things, and then over there, those are from an old carriage. I'm gonna make knives with those. I think that'd be really exciting to take something that old, which I'm not sure how old they are, but they're pitted like a few decades minimum. So that's gonna be really exciting. I will look that up. I am in Michigan. I'm in Detroit, so I don't know if that grows here or not. Like we have, what's one that grows in like Tennessee really well? Is it hickory? Chestnut. That's what it is. But it's not the American chestnut. It's the other one. Um, it does grow in Michigan, but it's like length of time it grows is really short. Like for its like leaves and all that, it's like the last one to get leaves, and it's usually the first one to lose its leaves. And they get tore up by insects really bad here, like really bad and really fast. And like when I first moved into my neighborhood, we were loaded with the chestnuts, and they're really pretty nice trees. And then storms have taken them out over the past 10 years I've been here, and every single one of them is just like destroyed on the inside. But I will look up mountain laurel. I do not live out west. I live in Detroit. I live in the Midwest. Where are you from, by the way? Here's the end green, which I scorched, so you can't really see much on them. You can see a little bit. What's another? I think I actually put almost all of my sticks in the back storage, except for the ones you see behind me. Like, let's see. Yeah, let's get this one right here. Like this one is actually made from mulberry. And this one, it's light, but it's very tough, very strong. It's like a good truck thumper. That's what I call them. I don't know, a truck thumper. You just need you need a good thumping stick in your truck. I think everybody needs one. And mulberry is actually harder than oak, which was very surprising to learn. One of the most surprising things I learned. It's also good for making string instruments with. They call it a tone wood. But you can see it. And I do my own little flavor on it. Chicago suburbs? Oh, that's what's up, man. I've actually only ever driven through Chicago. I know they got a lot of Polish food there. We got a lot of Polish food here in Detroit, too. Actually, I just had kapusta yesterday. Might even have some more today. I love kapusta. Yeah, I always thought this was like kind of like if I was to go into the LARP or cosplay like a goblin-y kind of stick. I always liked in the Elder Scrolls the weapons that the goblins had. I always thought they were just like so cool. And I actually went to Wisconsin once. Where was it that I went? It was to a music festival called Farmageddon Records Music Festival, and it was like an hour from like Eau Claire or something like that. It was way out in the boonies. There was no service of any kind. And yeah, it was a good time though. A lot of good bands. Where is it? Beloit, Wisconsin or something like that. I think that's where I stayed at a hotel. And the funny thing about it is we didn't know how to pronounce it. And being from Detroit, you would think it was like Beloit, Detroit, Beloit. And we were like, Beloit. And the guy actually that was at the hotel was like, I hear that a lot. He goes, nobody knows how to pronounce our city name. And he goes, it's Beloit. And then we just kind of were like, oh, we're from Detroit. We should have known that. But we didn't. So we looked kind of silly. So yeah, Beloit. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of funny. Although Michigan has a very strange way of pronouncing words. I don't know what the deal is with us Michiganders, but like you might have heard of the lost city of Pompeii. Well, there's a city in Michigan called Pompeii. If you ask for Pompeii, they'll think you're nuts. Here's how you pronounce Pompeii in Michigan. Pompeii. I have no idea how they came across that. No idea. And then we have Charlotte, or what you think is Charlotte, spelled like the girl's name, Charlotte. We say Charlotte. Oh, you got a cabin in the UP. Okay. I have family up in Munising and Marquette. Everybody knows Marquette. Usually they know Munising. Used to do the waterfalls and all that stuff. I love it up there. What's another one we have? We have a way you would see this name spelled of yesteryear is Clio, Clio, or Cleo. Well, in Michigan we have Clio and we pronounce it Clio. Iron River. Now that is a very beautiful area. That is, I've never been there because my family's more north. But wow, is Iron River a cool town. I had a friend whose friend we became acquainted. He moved up there to Iron River, and I was so impressed by how cool that town was. Just what a neat place, to say the very least. Do you hunt up there? Or is it like a summer place? Like, yes, yes, we do have legal weed here. They call people like me fudgy. When you're from downstate and you go up to the vacation, they call us fudgies or trolls, because we're south of the bridge. Some call us flatlander because it's so flat down our way. Yeah, just recreational. That's cool. I had another friend whose family they were, I think they were in the Munising area, and theirs was just recreational. And they have electricity there now, but they didn't have electricity up until like 10 years ago or so. So when they went up there, it was just like thoroughbred Youper living. Oh, say yeah to the UP, yeah. I actually went to, this was in a town called Melvindale, and Melvindale is just outside of Detroit, to give you an idea how far south it is. And I walked in, actually, I pulled into the bar, and there was a pickup truck that had these like Youper stickers all over, bumper stickers all over the back of it. And this was quite the Youper truck. I mean, it looked straight out of the UP, like the backwoods. And this was like, I think like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And my girlfriend and I walk into the bar, and there are these two dudes at the bar with these outrageous Youper accents, arguing over who is more Youper than the other. And one was like, "I'm only half Youper, yeah," and the other guy's like, "Yeah, yeah, your dad's just a." Like, he had another name for him. I don't even know what it was, but yeah, those guys were something else. Yeah, 906 area code. That's what's up. I used to go up there every Christmas for a long time. And my sister used to live in Munising every summer with my uncle, and yeah, she had the Youper life for much of her youth. And they're like right on Munising Bay up there on Lake Superior. Man, I was up in Munising for the Fourth of July fireworks, and I remember it was 45 degrees at night up there on Fourth of July. And I gotta say, Munising fireworks were actually really impressive. They were legitimately good, and like the best fireworks I've really ever seen were in the city I grew up in. It's Taylor, Michigan. It's just south of Detroit, and Detroit has good ones, but they shoot off like three at a time every time. Taylor is, I don't know, they just do a really good job. But Munising is honestly up there with some of the best firework displays I've ever seen. What are those glass bottom trips like? I've never done them. My mom and my sisters, they have, and it seems like kind of like, I don't know, like out of this world to be going over, like the wrecks and whatnot. I actually have a friend. He was stationed in Detroit for 10 years with the Coast Guard, but he did patrols throughout the entire Great Lakes, and he also did the deadliest catch, the Bering Sea. And he actually said the Great Lakes were way scarier. Like it didn't even hold a candle. The Bering Strait or the Bering Sea didn't even hold a candle to the Great Lakes. He said the Bering Sea, because it's in the, it's part of the ocean. Like it's kind of like more like smooth swelling and falling. And he said like the Great Lakes are like a boxing match. And I believe he said Lake Erie was his least favorite. I believe he said that was the one that scared him the most. But yeah, it was wild. He said it beat the brakes off him. Let's see. Fun, man. Sometimes the boat is hovering like 3 feet above the rocks. What? That's trippy. That's that's really trippy. Oh my gosh. I could just imagine like being right over them, and those are like, rocks that sent some ships to their ends. That's wild. Yeah, Lake Superior is that girl. She takes no prisoners. There ain't no doubt about that. She's a tough girl to say the least. Like I will say that is a cold lake. Like, cause we would go swimming in it in like the summer, and it warms up, but it doesn't get as warm as the lakes down here. Like Erie could be like kind of a really nice, almost bathwater warm towards the end of summer, but Superior, whew, that's a cold one. Oh, that's nuts. I had no idea you guys were actually like that close. And if I ever go back up and see my uncle, I'm gonna have to look into that. I didn't know it was like that close. For whatever reason in my mind, it was like they were much deeper, away from the boat. Lake Erie can be very fantastic. They have a spot called the hot zone, hot spot. I believe it's a hot spot, and it's warm all year round, and that's got incredibly good fishing. Like guys come from all over the country just to go there. Actually, one of my neighbors, he does charter fishing for the hot spot, and he's got like he. I don't know. He parks his boat all over the place in my neighborhood. I don't know why, but that thing's always moving all over the place. But yeah, he is a charter fisherman part time, and he actually goes out there fishes at nighttime. And I'm not the biggest fan of water as it is, but I don't know. Being on the Great Lakes at night to me is spooky. At least for me, it is. I remember when I was a little kid, I was actually camping with my family up there, and we went to like way back two track kind of area, and like I know there's bears up there, but I was only like probably 12 at the time. And I remember I came out, I think I went to go grab something from the vehicle and come back to the campsite. And there was just a big old black bear just minding its own business, moseying down the path. And I was just like, oh my God, it's a bear. And I like didn't know what to do. My uncle was like, come on, get over here, get away from that. Thank God it was like not like baby season, so to speak, or at least they weren't around. And yeah, that was one of the cooler things I've seen for sure. But man, what an amazingly huge animal to see. Like not at a zoo, but like real life, like me, like 15 yards away. It didn't even care that I existed. So the interesting thing that you're saying you see moose is there's a lot of people that have lived up there their whole life and have never seen a single moose, hunters even. Um, so it's like I don't know where they like to congregate. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's like that whole area where like the UP is over by like Minnesota and Wisconsin, because I know that's really like uh, desolate, I guess you could say. But I would love to see a moose in the wild. That would be cool. Like talk about an amazingly huge animal. When I was on Forge and Fire, actually, um, my director, producer, I think they call him. He did Deadliest Catch, but he also did one of those backwoods shows where they're like in the way backwoods, and he was talking about the moose, and he was saying like they're not very smart animals, but they are so incredibly dangerous. And he said that was like the one thing that when he was out there, like the backwoods guys were like, the moose are the ones you got to be afraid of. And they're like, but we know how to deal with them, but just be aware they are extremely dangerous. They're very fast, um, and they'll kind of just charge at anything sometimes. And he said there, I mean, he could have just been like having fun telling a story, but he did say there was a couple times where they had to do like get the tree between them kind of thing, and like skirt around. I don't know if it's true, but it was a fun story to hear anyway. That is really cool. That is really cool. That had to be like just to see something so big, you know? I mean, like horses are big and there's some big horses out there. But I don't know, the moose, like, especially if it had the rack, that'd be for me really exciting to see. Well, that's rad. I know there were some people that were trying to get in on the bear lottery, I think it was. Was it moose or bear? Could have been both. That'd have been pretty cool to partake in. That is really cool. You got to see moose, man. That's what's up. That's fun. Like I said, like I've known people up there their whole life and they've never seen them, so that's cool. And that was for them as well. Like that was the thing they've always wanted to hope to see. Actually, what did they? Was it just this year or just the end of last year? I think Michigan DNR confirmed a wolverine was actually found up there, which, as far as I understand it, the UP, even though it does get quite cold and whatnot, was still never quite ideal for wolverines. But if we have Wolverine in Michigan again, which we never really did, that would be cool. Actually, fun fact. Cougar, that is okay. Let's see. I was also on my dirt bike when a black bear jumped out in front of me and darted off. That's pretty wild. Cougars, actually, wild cats are my biggest fear in the woods because you can't hear them. They're silent hunters and they're not afraid to hunt us, so to speak. I mean, they don't want to. Maybe they do. I don't know, but I know they attack. And like I go way up here. That's where I go, and up around an area called Hubbard Lake. Um, and they have the wild cats up there, and that's one where I'm just like they kind of laugh at me because because we don't have indoor plumbing where we go. It's an outhouse, and when I go out for the outhouse, like I take my flashlight, and I've always got a gun with me, and I'm probably not going to stop a cougar. I probably don't even know it's coming at me, but yeah, the big cats, man, they scare me. I mean, what is it? A male cougar can weigh up to like 150 pounds or something like that. Cats are easy to scare, but man, they come at you from behind. They don't fight fair. I don't even know if it'd be a fair fight. They got 5 weapons coming at you, plus all their weight and power. There was a woman that was attacked by a cougar in California, and that was the thing that probably what scared me so much because it got her right in the neck. That's where it like went directly after her. And she said what blew her away was how powerful it was. It was just so incredibly strong, and it was just dragging her like nothing. Bobcats, people laugh about them, but they're like 30-pound little terrors, man. They're That's a tough little critter. There's actually I think it's called 906 cam or something like that on YouTube. It's a Uper cam, and you just get to watch the trail cams, and they have the bobcats out there. You'll see them and stuff, and those are beastly little critters. Like I have a Shiba Inu, and they're little chaos monkeys, but they ain't got nothing on bobcat. Those are tough little critters. No, 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 no. I don't want to think about that either. That's not fun. Actually, because I'm down in Detroit area, we actually do have cougars. Like DNR has officially acknowledged they are in Southeast Michigan now. And for years they were saying, no, they're not. You're not seeing them. We don't have them on record. And my neighbors across the street from where I grew up, they actually saw a cougar walk right through their backyard. Not a bobcat. It was a cougar. And like I said, DNR was just like, no, 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 we don't have cougars down here. And then someone had a deer up in a tree they found in their backyard in one of the rural areas in Monroe County, and that's where they kind of had to start being like, okay, there's cougars, because this deer, like a human would have a very hard time getting it up in the tree, and it had marks like indicative of like a cougar attack, and yeah. How do you get attacked by a badger? That's that is like the chaos monkey of North America. How the heck? That's terrifying. Those are the toughest little critters. That's got to be pound for pound like the toughest animal in North America. Maybe next to the jaguar. Those are tough. That would not be a good day to cross blades with a badger. Good God. It's a long story, man. I was walking down the street. He attacked me. I actually kicked him. Didn't know what the hell happened, but holy, that's scary. Dang. Wow. Yeah, that's one animal I would never want to cross paths with. I mean, it'd be cool to see it in the wild, but hopefully from like inside a vehicle. Those are tough guys. Fearless too. That's pretty scary. Even scarier. All right. What time is it? It's going on 2 o'clock. All right. I'm going to cut this live. 106. I've been live for an hour and 6 minutes. You've been great company. Thank you for hanging out. Been a lot of fun talking about all things outdoors in Uper. That stuff's always fun to me, though. It is like just good times. But yeah, I think it's called 906 Trail Cam or something. It's really on the nose. But yeah, if you ever come across it, you'll see cool stuff on it. I can hear him coming in. He was like screaming and hissing, and then I looked at him and his teeth were sticking out. I think I kicked it like a football. I do not blame you. Holy cow, man. That's a story. That's a good one. That's a scary one. That's a good time to retell around the campfire. That in the moment. Oh man, to see their teeth, and they got like a mouth on them, obviously, as you know. Yeah, like my little Shiba. Actually, let me see if I can get her to come in here. I'm gonna open the door. Mochi, come on, Mochi. No, she might come in. We'll see. She's a skittish little critter too. Nope, she's making her way. We'll see if she comes in. Come on, Chicha. Come here, girl. Come on. You won't come in the doorway? You're just gonna... Yep. She's gonna probably stay at the doorway. If she comes in, I'll be amazed. Come here, Mochi. Come on. Come on. Yeah. The Shiba Inus have like the craziest little ears. They move like satellite dishes. And she's standing at the doorway and her ears are just kind of going back and forth. Like, that's it. Come on. She's gone. I don't think you get in trouble for that. If it's self-defense, I'd hope not. Oh, well, then again, wolves. They have crazy rules against wolves in Michigan. As I understand it, unless rules changed, I believe you cannot even defend yourself against them or something like that. They got crazy rules protecting wolves. But I heard that has changed, but I don't know for sure. I mean, if something as big as a human kicked me and I was a badger, I'd probably be like, all right, man. All right. I've made my stand. You won. Kind of like show your teeth like, I'm scary. Then wham, like, all right, I'm out. No, little dog is just hanging out, catching some sun. A little chaos critter. It always cracked me up about the Japanese because their culture is so quiet and so polite, but their dogs are completely insane. Like every species or every breed that they have it's like their like vicarious life is living it out through their dogs. Peace. Have a good one. You're just gonna stare at me. All right, adios.